when was it? How long ago was it when Big Hero 6 had its first germination? The seed sprouted. How did that happen?
From our standpoint, it was about 3.5 years ago.
3.5 years. So you just kind of whipped this together. Okay. All right.
For animation, that is.
In animation, that's a pretty good pace for animation. But I was finishing up Winnie the Pooh and started talking to John last year about what my next project would be, and he really encourages us to follow our passions. Mm-hmm. Because if we're not passionate about it, there's no way an audience is going to be passionate about it, and it has to come from the director. We're a filmmaker-driven studio. It has to come from the filmmaker. And so I just looked into my childhood. What was I in love with? Disney Animation and Marvel Comics. And we had just, I think the company had just purchased Marvel not that long before that. And so I just pitched that idea to John. What if we took something of Marvel's and brought it over here and just got inspired by one of their ideas and crafted something here? And he got super excited, and he's like, go find something. Mm-hmm. And so I just did some research and came across Big Hero 6.
Well, and let me just throw in,
sure.
Don went and did some exploration, came back with this idea, and he pitched an outline about 3.5 years ago that really emphasized that this is really a story about loss. And he told this really sort of a skeleton pitch about a boy who loses his older brother, who's left with his older brother's creation, and this creation Baymax is going to help him sort of deal with the loss and recover from the loss. And we were also moved by that pitch that everybody was on board from that moment forward.
Mm-hmm. And of course, he was too young to remember the loss of his parents, but he's also at a loss there too to not really have that traditional structure. So.
Yeah, Tadashi really is his sort of lifeline in the world. Yeah.
But it's interesting because I think there's a big thematic of family going through here, and obviously the brother relationship is core to the Baymax and Hero relationship. But it's also the friends, how friends transcend into family is a big theme that we were working here.
But you also kind of went against, in this film, against the whole idea of superhero movies. The villain just kind of always either dies or is really horribly, comes to a horrible end here.
Right,
so he gets arrested, but there's a morality here that's atypical. And where did that come from?
Well, I mean,
are you a softie at heart?
I'm a giant softie at heart.
I kept trying to kill him, but Donnie wouldn't let me.
No, I mean, ultimately, maybe this is going too deep a dive, but ultimately, to me, Callahan is healed by Hero and by Hero's sacrifice.
Well, and again, the theme you have going is from another angle. His daughter is still alive.
Exactly.
So
exactly, and what a choice by Hero to, after all he's been through, to actually risk life and limb to go after this guy's daughter. And to me, that was the ultimate sort of aspect of what makes a hero. And it echoes, obviously, Tadashi, the selflessness of Tadashi running in that building. And so, ultimately, I feel like Hero actually healed Callahan.
So the thing about animation that always amazes me is that you basically, every second is a complete blank frame that you have to create every single 9 million decisions piece. You don't.
That's why we're so tired.
I mean, you did have a little bit of influence by going with Sanford, but you even created your own city. And the design of that and what that world was and all your heroes you were totally redeveloping. So what was the center idea or the center of this movie that kept you? Because to me, you made so many right choices. How do you keep centered so that you're not going off on some other movie? Or with so many collaborators, how do you keep from having somebody come in with a great idea that really ends up being wrong?
Well, first I just want to say that you make a very good point that in animation, you get nothing for free. Every crack in the sidewalk, everything that's in there is a choice that somebody made, and somebody had to design that thing and light that thing, and so we're always on a quest for spontaneity. And we're always looking for spontaneity from our actors, and mostly we try to get it in the performance. As far as like the central thing, the thing that we kept going back to, because that's a big question for us in the story room. We'll spend years working on the movie, coming up with iteration after iteration, and questioning our assumptions and making the story better. And we're always going back to what's it really about? What's it really about? And we knew it was a story about loss. That was central to the concept, but we needed to say something about that. And so we kept circling around the idea that when you lose somebody that you're close to, they're not really gone. completely. They can live on through you and affect the choices that you make. And when you accept that idea, it can be very cathartic. And it was for me in my life. And that's one of those things where you hear it a lot when you lose somebody. You hear that sentiment. And there's, I think, a danger sometimes that it can come off trite. But I think that one thing that movies can be great at is reminding people that there is something to these simple truths, and they can be very important, and they can be very cathartic. And so that's something that we kept circling around as we made this movie. And so we were making this superhero film and with big action scenes and comedy and all that stuff. We wanted it to be a really fun movie, but we knew if it didn't have a center, if it wasn't about something, it would all be meaningless and all be just disposable. And so we kept going back to that.
And we do a lot of research in these, and one of the big aspects that we delved into was loss. And we actually talked to several psychologists and social workers who deal primarily with teenage loss. And it was so informative and so helpful in terms of building that emotional core, which is I'm so proud of that in this film, that it has this huge heart.
Yeah, and also just to go back to your question too about how do you stop somebody or not stop somebody, but what do you do if somebody comes in and has an idea? We never stop them, and I think our process allows for that, and it allows for us to be wrong, and test some theories and try things out, because that during that 3.5 years we're constantly writing and storyboarding the movie and presenting it to our colleagues and John Lasseter, and then we talk about it afterwards. So we're constantly looking at things and trying out ideas, and again to try and get to that center. What is and hone everything down so that it's about that thing. And we leave a lot of stuff on our I guess kind of the cutting room floor. I mean, it's basically storyboards, but there's we try out a lot of ideas to get to that to that honed down version of a film.
I think you're getting to something really important as far as how we make movies. As directors, we're asked to have strong convictions. We have to know what the movie is about. We have to be able to express that. And we have to have strong opinions. At the same time, we have to foster a collaborative atmosphere where people feel free volunteering their points of view and disagreeing with us. And we find that in that nest of conflicting opinions comes great things. And so we always encourage that. And it's our story room is very lively. And it's full of people who have the strength of their convictions. And I think that as directors, we benefit from that. And so I think that speaks to sort of how we make our films and I think why we've had so much success under John Lasseter.